We're feeling the festive spirit here at the View from the Ninian as Cardiff City gave away 2 Christmas goals to Kiefer Moore and we lost 2-0 to Sheffield United. The season continues on the same vein, but we're here to talk about it as usual. Tom Phillips, Ben Price. Tom Phillips, talk us through your outfit.
Yeah, I bought a VB, Victoria Bitter Christmas shirt off Depop. It does come with a matching hat and shorts, but I thought that might be a little bit much for an hour-long podcast, so I've just gone for the shirt this week.
But where's the matching hat? You should at least put the hat on.
I'm not going to put the hat on.
I was going to say, the shorts are fine, because like we can't see that path. I mean, I'm not wearing any bottoms, but let's...
Well, Ben, you are in holiday mode. Back from Antigua. No shorts or no bottoms at all?
I am wearing bottoms. I was just coming about.
So,
I just want to see this hat because Tom was a bit like, it's a bit overkill. No one's going to see it.
Yeah.
I think the shirt and the hat makes it more than just the shirt, to be honest.
For the benefit of people who can see it, it's not
pop it on your head.
Put it on.
No, you can see it. Fine.
Put it on.
Just put it over the top of this hat.
No.
There we go.
Yeah, because that's less weird.
Yeah.
Actually, I look like someone it looks like someone from the Boer War with a little thing on top. But yeah.
Nice. Ben?
I knocked my headphone out then. Sorry, yeah, carry on.
Holiday was lovely, yeah. Really nice part of the world, nice and relaxed. And then, last day, City managed to stress me out all over again.
Yeah. It's a Christmas episode of the podcast, but we're not feeling very Christmassy. Let's talk about Sheffield United. I don't really want to talk about it for that much because it was a pretty depressing football match. Tom, were you surprised?
No, not really. I suppose I think that the best you could say about it was it wasn't horrific.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think what we managed to do was contain them, but nothing more. Like we kind of contained them for the first half. We kind of brought them down to our level for a bit. And then they kind of just showed that little bit of quality that we don't have in the second half. You could see the reasons why we wanted more back. Because, to score those types of goals, to kind of create something from nothing, because we haven't really got that at the moment. But I think you can see the comments, well, from our Twitter account and elsewhere on Twitter. It was one of those games where we did fine. And there's been plenty of games that we've done fine in this season at home and got nothing from. And it was just another one of those games. And I suppose this isn't a game to get angry about because we're playing top of the league. They've got 50 points already, unbeaten in 10, won 8 out of those 10. But it's just another one of those games that we've seen before. And I think it's the exact type of performance and the exact result that probably all of us were expecting going into the game.
Yeah, Ben, it was kind of like our season in a microcosm, wasn't it? A lot of huff and puff, some nice moments, but in reality, we end up losing the game quite comfortably.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I missed the first half. I was in the sea.
I was on holiday. I was in a nice country getting a suntan.
Yeah, it was good. And then I'd just be looking at my phone every couple of minutes, sort of expecting to see the inevitable 1-0 Sheffield United. And then it stayed 0-0. And I thought, that's not too bad. I mean, I ignored the rest of the stats. We'll talk about that a bit later. But the first, it didn't seem too positive. But then we sort of came out. I found a perfectly legal dodgy stream. And within 20 minutes, we conceded a very, very weak goal. And I think, as soon as that happened, I knew we were winning it. And more worryingly, the players just looked like they knew they weren't going to win either or get anything from it. It was just game's done. By how many is all that's left to be answered? It's a worrying trend, isn't it? It's like everyone knows as soon as we concede, it's game over.
Yeah. I mean, against Stoke, we conceded and we managed to get it back to 2-2. So that is like the exception that proves the rule, though, isn't it? And I was thinking that just then because, like, it's a confidence thing, isn't it, with this team, Tom? When the other team do inevitably take the lead, as Sheffield United did, the crowd, whatever noise is in the crowd, because there is no noise in the crowd at the moment, whatever noise is in the crowd is completely sucked out of them. Whatever life and kind of enthusiasm they had for the game sucks out of them. And that bleeds onto the pitch, doesn't it? And the players are then thinking, well, we can't really win this.
Yeah, but the problem is, it's not just that we go behind and we don't come back. We also go ahead and lose games.
Yeah.
So we can't even get too excited when we do take the lead this season because we've thrown away so many points. And I think that's the problem. We lack confidence in both
Every which way.
scenarios. Yeah, so I think at the moment, like, it's really hard to get excited as a fan because you go behind, you think, okay, inevitably we're going to lose this game. We go ahead and we go, when are we going to throw this away, and when the other team going to be let back in? So it's a real horrible cycle at the moment, and one we really need to break, because it's hard to get excited as a fan if you stood there and you're expecting it to go wrong all the time. You know, like, we've had seasons where we've played some really, not really bad football, but not exactly exciting football. But we used to go 1-0 up, hold on to a 1-0 lead, and see the game out. And you can build atmosphere. Yeah, we're effective, and you can build atmosphere. You don't need to have beautiful football to build atmosphere, but we haven't got beautiful football. We're not getting results from any which way at the moment, and the stadium's half empty. So it's a real kind of just. Yeah, it's a bit of a dirge, and it's just really hard to get up for it at the moment, because whatever way you look at it, it's pretty negative. God, that was a really depressing segment. Sorry.
It's all right.
That, Ben.
Well, I was going to come back with and say, well, the stats show that we were the best for big chances missed on Saturday, because we missed no big chances. So that's a real positive. We were very accurate with our big chances because we didn't create any and we didn't miss any. But Ben, you had a very interesting anecdote about the XG, if you want to tell people that, because I can't really think of anything else to say about the game, but we'll talk about the key for more goals in a minute.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really stood out from the first half was looking at the stats. At one point, I think it was 74% possession to Sheffield United. And I looked back and saw we'd had, instead of 2 shots, we'd finally had 3. But what also stood out was the fact that for that third shot, our XG somehow managed to drop. That to me, that doesn't make sense. That seems physically impossible. Off 3 goals, how shit of a chance was it that we managed to lower our XG off the third shot? Don't understand it, but it's genuinely impressive that we managed that.
Our XG for the first half, and I don't know if this is the lowest it's ever been, but was 0.02. So in the first half, we had less than, almost a 0 XG, 0.02.
But the problem is, right, that's then being spoken about by our manager as a good half. And I think that's where we're at now as a team. It's like, oh, yeah, we contained them. They're a good side. You know, we thought we'd be able to, go toe-to-toe with them, create chances. But we didn't create chances. In reality, they did nothing, and we stood there and also did nothing. And that's kind of the best that we're getting at the moment. But what Ben Price said about the XG, it's probably a bug, but even the bugs are going against us at the moment. It's like it is a bit depressing.
Well, I watched the first half, and I thought the only thing I could see that was a positive in that first half, that Chris Willock was really good. And I thought he had a really decent first half where he was actually looking to do stuff. He was getting at players. He was getting around players. He was trying to put crosses in the box. He was trying to get into the box and have shots. But nobody else around him was supporting him. And then, of course, because it's Cardiff City, he goes down injured within the first 3 minutes of the second half. And it's like, well, that kind of sums us up at the moment, really, doesn't it, Ben? That even when Callum O'Dowda was probably our brightest spark over last month, he's now injured. Chris Willock, probably our brightest spark over the last couple of games, obviously very instrumental in the game against Stoke, he's now injured. And it's like, we've already got a very thin squad, and it's just getting thinner.
Yeah, that bench, I think, was that you put on Twitter, fag paper thin, after seeing that bench. It's not pretty, is it? And then we've got players that seemingly on the way out for January that we're going to reinforce. But it's bleak, isn't it? We're not creating enough, and our most creative players are now going down injured because it's just, of course, they are. It's the way this luck's gone this season. It was just a worry, isn't it? I think there's a stat on BBC. It's like 7th home league loss of the season, and the worst goal difference at home of -5 this season. All of that added with no creativity, and any players that are capable of creating any creative are just dropping like flies. Tanner's out. Colwell's really just gone missing the last 6 weeks. Hasn't done anything after a positive start to the season. O'Dowda out, which is a huge loss to us. It doesn't get better, does it? I'm just trying. I don't want to do another miserable pod. It's Christmas. Everyone's in a good mood, but
are they?
Well, not around Cardiff City, no.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at the table again. So we've won 4 games out of 21 this season. We've scored 19 goals, which is the lowest by 2. So even Oxford and Plymouth have scored more goals than us. Even Stoke and Preston have scored more goals than us, and they're both
And we
very bad
battered
football
Plymouth.
sides.
That's the thing,
Yeah,
right? We've had
5 of our
games where we've
goals.
like battered. Yeah, 5 of our goals in that one game.
7 of
right?
our goals came in the Plymouth and Portsmouth games, right? So if we hadn't had those games, we'd be on 12 goals. Obviously, it's very easy to say we hadn't had those games, but
Yeah.
so many of our goals came from those games that it's so bad.
Yeah,
It's like you touch on the squad though about being paper thin, because I remember like speaking at the beginning of the season, the one thing I was excited about was we felt like we had depth.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of those people like Fish, kind of like Darlin, the people who've come in just haven't kind of kicked on as much as we hoped they would.
We haven't seen Fish, have we? He hasn't played.
No, exactly.
Sorry
Right. And we've had a few injuries, and now we are suddenly looking really, really kind of lacking kind of options and talent there. And I think that's the most worrying thing at the moment. We haven't really got many people to kind of change things up. And we're a couple of injuries away from being really, really short. I know we've got a couple of players coming back, but we're really, really relying on them to come in and kick on because we haven't got many options at all.
I'm looking at the squad list on the website now. So keepers wise, Horvath, Alnwick, and Turner, they're all fine. They've got and they got listed 8 defenders. Of that, Fish has played 1 game.
Yeah.
Collins on the way out. Sasunder and NG both injured. Midfield, they've had to add in Troy Perrott to the first team list because everyone else is either crippled or just not playing well. Ramsey, O'Dowda, Turnbull, all long-term injuries. Forward line, Kanga, Atete, Willock, Tanner, Davis,
Callum
all out
Robinson's
injured.
perennially
Callum Robinson carrying injury long term and still the only player looks capable of scoring something out of nothing for us. I thought again that second half, at least he tried to make stuff happen, worked really, really hard to try and make stuff happen, but you could see he needs a rest. He can't do it on his own. It's really not good. We're really
even players we've brought in are now, Reindorf promoted from the youth system to the first team full time, injured. On FOTMob, the bench, we're so thin that one of our players on the bench doesn't even have a photo of him on FOTMob. That's how we've had to draft in players. And like, with the greatest respect to people like Horvath, he doesn't look like he wants to be here. Like, if you're Will Fish, would you be questioning why you've come here? Like, he probably came in the summer thinking, God, I'll probably play a lot of these games. And then they signed Darland to put him ahead of him. And he must be watching Darland. I like Darland. I think Darland is a good signing. It's just, I don't know why he chose to come here if I was him. But you watched him on Saturday, and Fish must be going, I could probably have done better than Darland, especially on that first Kiefer Moore goal. Tom, he just got absolutely bullied for it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It was a little bit easy. Like, it's a fantastic finish. Like, no taking away from that. But yeah, it just made it easy for him. But, I can't. There's 16,000 other people who'd rather not be there, I think, at the moment as well. It's just the blind... it's just the blindly loyal.
We don't want to be here.
Yeah. But no, at least Capacchio's back on the bench because I put him as, one to watch out of our young options. So at least we might get something from that, I suppose.
Hey,
far,
he's 100% player
amount of offside. Yeah, it's true. But I don't know. Like I said earlier, this isn't the game to get too worried about. I think they're arguably the best team in the league. It's just the fact that we keep seeing this performance over and over again. And we've got a tricky Christmas period now. We've got a massive game against Oxford coming up. And I think if we're still saying the same things in 3 games' time, then we could be in a spot of bother. Let's put it that way.
Ben, it would be remiss of us not to talk about Big Kiefer Moore. Obviously, he scored the first goal in a kind of battle with Darland. He scored the second goal from distance. What could have been, eh?
Yeah. Good job he bought that house, isn't it? Just, you say it was a battle with Darland. I don't think it was much of a battle there.
No, I mean, Darland.
There was no struggle from Darland there. I think he was the gift that kept on giving on Saturday. Just couldn't get anywhere near him. Just even that isolated and turned way too easy. You're right, Tom. It is a hell of a finish. Any challenge put in there, Kiefer's not getting that ball, but Darland just stands there.
In Darland's defence, he doesn't just stand there; he does this, and the ball is nowhere near him.
Yeah, he does try flicking it when the ball's 3 foot above him. But it just summed it up. I think there's just no real.
Fight.
In the past, we've had players that throw and I know it's old fashioned to say, "Oh, just all you want is a bunch of players that throw themselves in front of the ball." But if you're sort of looking back at the defense we've had, like there's not a chance a player like Sol Bamba or Morrison or someone like that, sort of even someone like Matty Connolly, like they're putting their body on the line, they're winning that ball because it's an easy defense thing. If they might take a knock, but they're willing to do it. These players just don't seem like they want to do it. And I don't think it's a case of not wanting to be here and stuff like that. No player likes losing. I genuinely don't believe any player's going out in a game to lose. It probably annoys them a hell of a lot more than it annoys us, being professional athletes. But there's got to be a bit of desire there, and we're just lacking a lot of that at the moment. It's very one-paced, and individual mistakes keep on happening, and happening far too often for it not to be an issue rooted within the team. And that comes down to a lack of leadership. There's not a player on that pitch yesterday that outfield especially that I'd look at and go, they're a natural leader on that pitch, and that's a huge issue for us. And that can't be that has to be, as much as lacking creativity and not scoring goals needs to be addressed. For me, I think we need that leader out there as well, because that's huge. Like even NG for all his problems has a bit about him for that. There's not many other players on that pitch I think have got a bit about him for that.
Even people like Alex Robertson. He kind of shying away a little bit in these games at the moment. He's not being. I think it's just a cultural thing. I try not to blame individual players because at the moment there is problems all across the pitch. But like you'd expect someone like Robertson to step up. You'd expect someone like CEO or Gutas to step up. They're senior pros, CEO and Gutas in that team, and they're kind of shirking away a little bit. Although Siopis apparently did get man of the match yesterday.
Siopis was all right, but it's not the kind of leadership you want. You want that
you need someone to shout to people and.
Yeah, and no one's really doing that. And that, to be honest, that needs to come from players like Chambers and Gutas. That's sort of part of what they're there. Like you need those bigger sort of characters there, and that's just not happening. I don't think you can't really pin it on Robertson. Like, what's he, 21?
No. I'm not pinning it on him.
Shouldn't be on him to lead like that. It's down to like bigger players. Like Mate's played enough senior football. Difficult for Renamoto when you're in that the squad to sort of make an impact. But for me, Chambers, Gutas, and Darlin need to be strong and need to be those bigger characters. That's part of what their role is as centre backs, and just no fight from them or no character. It's just a worry. There's no player in there that's really got a big personality, is there? You look at it that you sort of a really sort of likable, enjoyable personality that other squads have had in the past. They just nothing about them, and it just shows on the pitch.
Tom, any other players you like?
Like Ben is right though. I think that
he's spot on.
That kind of that the level of meh, isn't it? It's just you look at that team and it's just you haven't got those big leaders, those big characters, and it might be a bit simplistic, but I think at times where you're kind of in the trenches a bit, where you're not putting performances, that is kind of what you need, and we haven't got that leader at the moment. But you look at the starting 11 when you've got El Ghazi, Willock, Robertson, Chambers, Gutas. They are good players. Who should be performing better. There's enough in that starting 11, even if we are a little bit light on the bench, to put a performance in for 60, 65, 70 minutes to get us in games. But we're not getting that at the moment either. So it's not like we're running out of steam at the end of games. I know we've conceded late goals, but we're not exactly blowing teams away for half-hour periods or anything like that. There's some real quality names, and we're not seeing any of it at the moment. And I think that's a little bit of the frustration. Well, a lot of the frustration is the fact, the reason we were predicting being in and around playoffs is because there is good enough players in that squad to put performances in every few weeks to propel us up that table, and we're just not seeing any of it at the moment.
I also think, when you look at last season, and we talk about the predictions, and people, there's always people like, oh, I would never have predicted this to be in the playoffs, all this kind of stuff. Last season we finished 12th, and we had a platform to build on. And then in the summer, we didn't just sign one or two players. We signed Chambers from the Premier League. We got rid of McGuinness and replaced him with Darland and Fish, who were both seen as really good prospects at the time. We brought in El Ghazi, which was a complete surprise. We signed a striker in Kanga who had a track record of scoring goals. And Kanga's been shit. Everyone can see that now, but had a track record of scoring goals. Robertson was a real coup for us to sign. And all of a sudden, 6 going up a few places looked perfectly reasonable if we built upon the platform from last year. But obviously we didn't. And that's the problem, I think, with fans now. The confidence has completely gone from the fans. We're looking at the players on the pitch and going, well, how good are you really? And the confidence in the players is being undermined by that. And we just can't we can't get out of this cycle, can we? We're in this like cycle at the moment where the confidence is completely drained from the players. The players aren't performing. The fans are losing the confidence in the players, and we're not seeing the basics done right, which is causing problems on the pitch. And to your point, Ben, yeah, and to your point, Tom, about like players who want to fight. At the very basics, if you're shit at football, if you're not playing well, all you can do is fight and show desire, and the players aren't even doing that at the moment.
No, but you pick up points from that.
Yeah, of course you will. You'll turn a loss into a draw just by pure desire if you're good enough.
Exactly. You were reeling those players off, like, and I was getting excited again in a weird way. Like you were saying about those signings, and that's the reason why we were excited before the season. Because like there's enough there, and I think that's what there's still that bit inside of me now. I was thinking there's still enough to turn this around and be comfortable by the end of the season and be away from this mess. But if we carry on the way we are, then we're going to be out of sight the other way. So it's going to be a really, really tricky couple of months if we don't pull our fingers out.
My issue, it's really easy to be sort of down and sort of cut up in this sort of negative way, but I can't help but shaking the feeling that this is it for us. We're getting what we deserve because of everything. It just feels inevitable. Like even sort of the years like we've been in this position before, I thought, we'll be all right. We'll kick on. There's stuff there, like stuff to come. I don't see what there is to come this time. I feel like we're just pushing our luck too much. Like when you see in Portsmouth slap Stoke 4-1 and sort of players slapping Coventry, 4-1 and picking like their players and scoring hat tricks. We haven't got a single player that I can look at and go, fuck, they're going to score a hat trick. Hull have picked up bought in Sellers, and I think he's going to do wonders for him. Like it's a talented squad that he's going to pull them away. Outside of Coventry and Stoke, and maybe Preston, but I still think they'll somehow manage to finish mid-table, even though they won't win another game. I just don't see any teams like you've got that old cliche of needed 3 teams to be worse than us. I don't think there are. I think Rooney's going to get sacked.
There's a few that are equally as bad, though, isn't there? I think it's just a group of us who are equally as shit, and it's kind of like who's going to come out of the tombola of shit and land in that bottom part.
Yeah, and I think to your point, Ben, about Portsmouth spanking Coventry, like Portsmouth's last 5 games have been a draw with Swansea, they beat Bristol 3-0, drew with Norwich 0-0, lost to Derby 3-0, and then beat Coventry 4-1. That's great because they've got 2 wins, 2 draws there, where they wouldn't have got them previously. If you look at our last 5 results, we've got 2 draws, Coventry and Stoke, but we're not turning any of the other games into wins like they are. No. So we've lost to PR, lost to Preston, lost to Sheffield, all 2-0. Like, it's going to be coming down to what other teams have enough to win 1 or 2 of their other games. And that's what it's going to be, really. You know, out of 6 games, if we can win 1, then things are going to start looking up. But we're not doing that at the moment. And if it carries on for another 5 games, and then Portsmouth and Hull pick up a couple of results, we're going to be even more adrift. And I think to your point about are there 3 worse teams, the only 2 teams I would say that are definitely worse than us at the moment are Oxford and Plymouth, and that's because they're below us in the table. But Plymouth are still scoring more goals than us, and so are Oxford. So they've still got a little bit more than them. They've still got something within them. Like, if we don't start scoring goals, then we're probably the worst team in the league.
The only thing
the worrying thing is we played Plymouth. Like we're doing. We haven't even got them to come. We played them at home already and spanked them. So we haven't even got those 3 points like kind of on offer for us. Yeah. Sorry, Ben, I cut you off. Ben.
Plymouth have conceded 45 goals in 21 games.
Yeah, they have.
I mean, they're really in the shit. I can't see them saying that, but like, there's stuff you've seen sort of Oxford start of the season. Like, you know, they're capable of going on a decent run and sort of picking up points.
And Rowett is a good manager.
Yeah,
so Rowett could, if he solidifies them, then they could go on a run.
That is the big thing. I think that's probably sort of like the elephant in the room is sort of where it comes to all of this is. You've got to believe in 2 things. You've either got to have a board that are savvy enough and capable enough to pull players in that can get us out of this shit, or you need a manager that's got a bit of experience, a bit of know-how to get us out of this trouble. We don't have either. And like, I really like Reza. He seems like a good enough bloke, but sort of like reports coming out and trying to be everyone's mate and stuff like that. And it's just, I reckon if we were, it's sort of like that thing with Hudson a while back, and it feels spookily similar to the Hudson sort of appointment of if we were doing well at the top of the table, I think him coming in and doing what he's doing now, I think he'd do really well and push us on even more. I think he'd build really good team spirit, but I don't think he's got the knowledge or like the experience and I don't know how to word it, but like, I don't think the players buy into him enough to pull us out of this shit. And I can't see it being long until the board's hand of force, and they're going to look even stupider now for appointing him and sacking him again. And within 3 seasons, we've gone through 3 managers in one season, in 2 out of the last 3 seasons.
We've got 4 managers in one season. Don't ever forget Dean Whitehead. Don't ever forget that man.
It's like optics wise as well. Like I heard you mention Instagram then, Ben. Like him doing those pouty photos, right? When you're kind of in the mess, like and like in the mud, like you want to warn a character. You don't want someone kind of resting on their wrist, pouting, saying like "You okay, hun?" on like Instagram. Like if I was a player, I was like, "Fuck me, this is not the bloke who's going to get a rallying call in the dressing room, is it?"
Well, I've just had a look at his Instagram. So I was like, I wonder what he's posted today, right? And this is his latest post. I'm going to share the screen. It's just this photo in the middle there, next to the Fresh Ego Kid one. Just him from yesterday's game. No caption, just one photo.
Why is he pinned that one? What the fuck is going on with that?
He's pinned the Fresh Ego Kid one. Yeah, he's pinned the pout. But what I was going to say about his Instagram presence is that it's incredibly non-league. And I know that's the world he's kind of come from, but like non-league footballers love just posting a photo of them playing, like 4 photos from the game. They've lost the game. It doesn't matter about the result. It's them going, here's my 4 photos of me from a game. No caption, or just like, fans were great yesterday, see you next week kind of thing. Plus 3 points, whatever it is. That's his presence. And like, I don't want to stop managers having a social media presence. Like Jose Mourinho has a very well put together Instagram presence that obviously is run by his management or his social media team. You can do that. That's absolutely fine. But this is so low rent. And like, if you want to be taken seriously as a manager, like this kind of undermines it a little bit. And like I said, I don't want him to stop doing it because I think it's an important tool for interacting with the fans. But like one photo of you with no caption, like no kind of, it just undermines his serious presence, and I don't understand how to
looking sad as well.
Yeah,
but looking sad at a time where like people are kind of looking for a leader, and it's just like if you wouldn't start reading into it, just like looks like he's out of ideas, lying there like, oh, what do I do now? It just I don't know. It's just a bad look, isn't it? It's just amateurish.
I tell you what, Tom, it's not a bad look. It's a fantastic look. Thanks to Fresh Ego Kid and their fantastic hat. As always, once again, their top class designs for Fresh Ego Kid brought it out and made that picture look superb. So yeah, don't forget to check out Fresh Ego Kid when you get your chance.
And over to Twitter to carry on this stellar conversation. I do really like the Fresh Ego Kid hats as well. I think the Fresh Ego Kid company is fantastic, genuinely. So I don't want to criticize it for wearing the hat, but it's just the photo itself.
They've given me one hat and I've shielded them so much.
We'll have another hat if you're listening, Fresh Ego Kid. I've got one as well, but I had to pay for mine. So I posted, we're going to be recording tomorrow. Give us some positive stuff to discuss, please. So we got quite a few responses, 38. I'm going to run through them. Bluebirds passed. I left on 82 minutes, so I got to miss the traffic. Fantastic stuff.
Good.
Gareth Dunning who actually gave us some good positive stuff. Ashford, albeit minimal game time. Like we know and heard second half, crowd will get behind the team if they show effort. We are in it now. 3, we're not cut adrift yet. We don't have a home game on Boxing Day. So positives. Dan Evans, positives. Thought we were comfortable for large parts. Some nice passages of play. Thought Bagan and Reno did well. So did Sio. Willock was good. 3-5-2 suits us. Problem on the pitch is not complicated. And this is where his whole tweet is undermined because, yes, we were good for large parts, but no cutting edge, no plan, and no plan B, and we can't go direct. And that's the problem, isn't it, Tom? We can talk about all the nice things. We can talk about all the nice football we've played, but because we're not scoring goals, it completely undermines our points.
Yeah, us being okay is going to shoot us in the foot, effectively. It's like if someone goes on a little bit of a spurt for 10, 15 minutes, we haven't got anything to match them or get back into the game. So, yeah.
Yeah. I thought you were going to carry on with the point there, Tom.
No.
Go back.
I've done it again.
You went, so yeah. Reece Spear, I am currently in Thailand, so didn't have to enjoy yesterday's game. So I guess that's a positive. Bluebird John says the youngsters are getting opportunities now. We have so many injuries. I suppose is the only positive. Doesn't say much for our coaching staff and medical team. The amount of injuries and reoccurring injuries, though. It's a fair point, isn't it, Ben? All of a sudden, we have a lot of looks like muscular injuries. Obviously, hamstrings. Willock looked like a groin hamstring yesterday. Obviously, it'll become clearer over the next few days. Turnbull's out with a hamstring strain. O'Dowd's, I think, is muscular. NG's, I think, is knee. Tanner, I think, is thigh. Ramsey will never see again. What are our medical team and staff doing?
I don't know. it's difficult, isn't it? We seem to have had more long-term injuries over the last few years than sort of a lot of clubs I can think of. And it seems to be like to big players as well. It's a weird one, and just I feel it's another bit of bad luck, isn't it? I feel like if things are going well, you tend not to get these injuries. It tends to be when things are going badly, the injuries just seem to pile up, and
Yeah.
especially with like knocks and stuff like that. And I'm not accusing players of shit in the bed and sort of battling out of it, but when things aren't going well, you're less likely to want to play through those knocks. I think when things are going well, you've got the momentum on your side, you'll play through anything.
Yeah.
It's when things are you're really in the shit that they hurt more, I think, and that it's just one of those. But yeah, there's got to be some sports science behind it that isn't working for us now. That sort of again needs to be addressed.
I think we just notice it more,
addressed.
though. I think we just notice it more. Like Sheffield United had 6 players out on the weekend. It's just that because we're lacking quality, and then the only bits of quality we have are the ones getting injured. I think it just exacerbates it a little bit. But then you've got someone like Ramsey coming in, and he's out for so long. I think it's just the optics look bad. I don't think we're any worse than anyone else. I think a lot of teams are probably struggling these days with just the calendar as well. But I don't know.
I was looking on Twitter. Cardiff City have tweeted from the obviously official account that on Boxing Day, Sky Bet will be donating £1,000 for every EFL goal scored on Boxing Day for the British Heart Foundation. And obviously they've gone, want to show your support? You could do your bit by learning CPR for free in 15 minutes, yada, yada, yada. Every comment, we're not helping then. Not much coming from Cardiff then. Are we going to be taking part in this? Well, that's us out of it then. We won't be bothered.
So
we won't be donating.
We're killing people now as well. It's great.
It's just like our tweets at the moment just get this overwhelming uniform response, and that just really tickles me. TCFC development football fan, he said Ashford, Capaccio and the other development lads on the bench, the way our under-21s play regardless of lineup or formation, being top of the PDL2 in their cup group, plenty to be positive about, lads. Yeah, there is.
That's true. Yeah.
And I think the development players should be used more, but the reality of the situation is that like it's a tough one for the management because they need the experienced players to potentially see out the relegation. And I do think, I want to see more of Capaccio and Ashford. I want to see more of Perrott, Davis, whoever else is on the bench, but you have to balance that against the possibility of inexperienced players in kind of tight games. But I hope the managers play them more. I wanted to see Reindorf more, but obviously he's injured now, which is
I think as well with those youngsters. I think that's the one thing we've got on our side if we do go down.
Yeah, we've got an absolute plethora of them.
We have got we're doing all right. We're doing pretty good at the youth level, and maybe that's the only way we'll get to see them on the pitch. But that is clutching at straws a little bit because I do worry that the more we play them in the Championship, we're going to kill their confidence as well, and that's the last thing that we need. But I don't know, like we have got a lot of youngsters coming through, and what we're doing in the kind of youth setup, which we weren't doing for the 10, 15 years ago, that is one major positive that we have got right as a club.
And if we go down, Joe Colwell won't need a loan to a League One club because he'll be at a League One club. John T.M. Williams, getting lots of injuries and overlong recoveries. What are our guys' thoughts? Already talked about that. Thought we did okay yesterday. However, they had a cutting edge. Noah Ninian, given the amount of injuries we currently seem to be picking up, what positions are you hoping to play when you eventually get the call up, Ben?
I'll play left back. That's where I play for Rog, so happy to stay there.
Tom?
Centre back.
Oh, I was going to play. Me and you at centre back would be quite a good combo, I reckon.
Yeah. I think for 10 games it'd be good. And then the 11th game, me and you would really argue. There'd be a game where we'd really, really fucking piss each other off.
Yeah. I'd somehow tackle you.
Yeah. Full Dyer and Bowyer.
Papa Schnoz. This isn't positive or negative as such, but with everyone shouting and screaming about Tan-out, who do we genuinely believe is going to buy the club? Like, seriously, what's the draw for investment? I keep coming back to this point about what's the draw for investment. I think the main negative you have around the football club at the moment is a court case in France. That's the worst thing. The best thing about this football club is that we're a clean slate for someone to come in and turn it into a money-making machine. We own our ground that doesn't have naming rights sold, that could be commercialized to high heavens. Like, you look at what Tottenham are doing with their ground. We could turn our ground into a gig venue. It could host other sports. Do whatever you want with it. There is so much potential within that ground that it could be used for. Maybe the way we use it at Wales is slightly different. I don't know if we could do whatever we want to do with it. Then we've got the training ground that's currently being built that, again, is a clean slate. Someone could come in and take over that and have the ongoing build. We're a football club that is a capital city with a catchment area of 1.5 million people. Like, traditionally Cardiff has been supported by people all the way up north, into Newport, wherever else, into the west of the country, like all the way down to Carmarthen. Like, we're a huge club. And I understand, like, I don't think we're going to sell. I don't think Tam wants to sell until the court case is done, because if that comes off, and we do get the win like they're expecting to in the French courts, then there's a lot of money that could come our way from the damages. Once that happens, the club is in such a good position to be sold as an investment opportunity for a business. I just think it's a no-brainer once the money's sorted out. But it's whether Tam wants to sell, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt Tam wants to sell. I think he just isn't in a position to sell until he puts out all the fires that him and his team seem to like starting everywhere. And that's a huge issue, isn't it? I think that as long as that goes on, we're going to have this sort of shadow hanging over us that's really sort of pulling us into the shit. Tan's clearly lost interest. Like, he's not coming to games anymore. There's very little communication from him. I don't think there's any doubt he's lost interest in it. He's also getting on in years as well now. He's got to be in his 70s by now. It's just all screams he's ready to sell up. It's just he can't until this case is over. It's not a sellable proposition, is it?
I would say. Go on, Ben. Sorry, I thought
he's not going to sell until that, because that's the only way he's really going to see any return on it or any part of his money back. Yeah. We're not going to sell. He's not going to sell his club for 250 million. Like, we're just not a club that's going to go for that price. His money and his return on any money he spent is tied up in that court case, and until he's got the win he wants there, he's not going to sell up. There's other cases that Dalman perhaps, and like the Chew on the board. Can they go and sort of do something? Like, can that be a change? Change? It can, but Dalman's got money invested in the club. Chew, what he does, no one really knows. But it's even if we get relegated, it's not a case of like he's going to sell. Then he's going to sell it cheap, because he's not. He's in a position where he wants to hang on for as long as possible so he can get as much of his money back.
How old do you think Tan is? I was shocked by this.
72.
Tom?
I was going to say exactly the same age.
72.
Oh.
I thought he was closer to 80.
No.
He's always looked the same. Like,
that's what I mean. Like, yeah. He's also got 11 children, which I didn't know.
Shagger.
Yeah. Top shagger.
That's our new starting lineup sorted. There we go.
Yeah. Don't give him ideas.
Robin Tan is what one of his kids is called. I don't know.
He's one of the Cardiff City legend there.
There's not much. There's not a big personal life section on his Wikipedia, so I don't know much.
I'm surprised it's taken us this long to do this. To go through Tan's Wikipedia page. So there we go.
I could do more if you want. Kyle says, at least we're halfway through the season, so don't have to watch it for 40 plus games anymore. This one's for you, Ben. Brandon Arthur asks, will Ben Price have mixed feelings when Harris inevitably scores the Boxing Day winner?
It's a tough one, isn't it? I've got to back my boy. Still believe one day he will lift that Ballon d'Or. But I can't see anyone. I can't celebrate anyone doing well against Cardiff. So it's just one of those. I'll quietly applaud him in my head.
Will you be like those Korean streamers who were Man United fans who, when Son scored that corner against them, they were like, "No, yeah, no." Have you seen that?
That'd be a perfect summary of it, actually. Yeah.
They were like, "Oh no, it's Son," and they all kind of were going, "Ooh, no." It was really funny. Umar Ohid, who actually told me to fuck off yesterday on Twitter, so I don't know why I'm reading this. What League One ground are you looking forward to visiting next season? I'm going to go with, looking at the table now, Leyton Orient. Tom?
Do you reckon this is the earliest we've done this question? So we've done it
I think
every
we've already
season
had it
for the last
this season as well.
Oh, okay, fair. I'm not visiting anywhere from where I currently am, but
all right, Ben.
Stevenage,
nice. Yeah, the Lamex.
Leyton Orient was my one. That was the answer I was going to go with.
Well, you have to give a different one now.
I would say Wickham, because I didn't actually manage to go when we were in the Championship. I think they might go above it.
Promoted.
Yeah.
yeah.
Racecourse back at Wrexham.
Yeah, I forgot they were there. Wow. Mark Thomas says, new qualified and experienced manager next month. Dan Lowe, it's Christmas in a few days' time. Does that count? Philip Niffield, there's only 25 games until the end of the season, sorry. Perry's fan account. Did any of you watch the boxing on Saturday? Tom, Ben, any boxing?
No.
No,
Now it's the highlights.
of which there were none.
Yeah.
Pretty boring fight. Just what I don't like, and this is my problem with boxing, right? The Anthony Joshua fight when he lost to Dubois was exciting because Joshua got knocked out in the first round and fell over. Class. There should be a rule that unless someone gets knocked down in the first round, the fight stops then. Because like it's just boring otherwise. It's just two blokes like not punching each other. Like Usyk, obviously the whole point of boxing is to not get knocked down, but Usyk just stayed as far enough away from Fury so he didn't hit him. It was great.
I'll be honest, though, none of them hit a 450 cent onto a flaming table, so I'm not interested. Like,
hit a what?
None of them came out with pyro. It's not as good as wrestling, is it? Even though they tried to be.
When I'm after Tom's wedding in January, Ben, I'm going to Japan, and on the Friday night that I'm in Japan, there is hardcore deathmatch wrestling on in the Tokyo Dome. Freedoms, it's called, which is obviously the big. One of the big productions out there, and I cannot wait to go and watch hardcore deathmatch wrestling.
It's going to be class.
Yeah, I want blood on me from the first row. Barry Jones says, any chance you can give your opinion on how to fix the club instead of going on about how bad the club is every week? Thinly veiled barb there, Barry.
Barry, we're a fucking podcast of idiots. What are we supposed to know?
I think we do give our opinion on how to fix the club. Like we talked about it at length, like director of football, a proper manager, get rid of Dalman and Chew. Like it's bad, but like we can't do anything.
Plus we should
run the football club. Yeah, maybe we should actually. Maybe we should start dishing out
a rumor that Barry's account is the Kenju burner account. We've already had Mehmet Dalman and Vincent Tans. So
Barry Jones, Kenju burner account. You heard it here first. Dino says my halftime chips were nice. Good. Cardiff City fan, Matty Aztec says, which League One ground do you look forward to visiting next season? Bolton for me, never been. That's another good one. Ian Everett is probably in a more toxic situation than any other manager in the league at the moment. And he also says, Merry Christmas, lads. Merry Christmas, Matty. Lee Sanders, Kiefer Moore being back amongst the goals is only a good thing for Wales. Long live Bella's ball. Daniel Price for one more game away from the end of the season. Tarley says, nothing positive. It's just rubbish. Very sad. Gareth Merritt, will we be the biggest team in League One? Lloyd, that's another one to do. New grounds visiting League One from Greg. The common Bluebird, at least in League One, we get to go a whole season without the second tier saying we were shit every week. Surely a positive. CCFC TM, favourite Reza Instagram post. Dave Ball says, what's a positive with Cardiff City? Oliver Reese says, in my local before the game, I saw a group dressed up as seagulls, bags of chips on their annual Christmas pub crawl. That was the pinnacle of the day, to be honest. On the down note, my Middlesbrough and Sheffield United Cup tickets arrived yesterday. Johnny Valley Boy, Moore's on fire. David Charles says, Reno putting in a good shift again. The under-21s, a pleasure to watch them. Tony Burns, really, mate? Nothing worth discussing. Sometimes you just shut up and enjoy your festive time. Well, we do a podcast. Tom Miller says, what is positive about sitting from bottom in league at Christmas with an owner who doesn't want the club, a toxic workplace run by arseholes and a manager out of his depth and a team that is very poor? And the final three questions were Jason Davis, which of our players matched the celebrations? He said Cadbury celebrations. We all know that's not Cadbury. Kanga has to be Milky Way. No one wants him. And who's the bounty? So, Ben, do you like a bounty?
I don't like a bounty. I think a bounty is the worst. But
Tom,
what I will say is,
I'll come back to this. Tom doesn't like a bounty either. So carry on.
I don't know.
I'm not having Kangaroo a Milky Way. A Milky Way is your sort of underrated, sort of mid-tier chocolate. There's nothing wrong with the Milky Way. They're not spectacular, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with the Milky Way. I'm not having them as a Wilfred Kanga. Bounty's a Kanga. No one wants them.
Well, here's the point I was going to make. The Milky Way, according to a survey, I think from last year, is the least favourite of the celebrations chocolate. So his point would be correct around that. And the bounty, I like a bounty. I love a bounty. So therefore, we're all going to have a different opinion on what is a good and what is a bad chocolate.
I'm not having bounty as a good one. I'm not having Milky Way as a bad one. Ken Brockman's right. Democracy doesn't work.
But I don't really like the Milky Way. I think the Milky Way is fine. Milky Way for me would be... Who is a steady Eddie in this football team? A CEO. Your Milky Way's a CEO. It doesn't do much wrong.
I was going to say it's the perfect Gavin Ray description. Gavin Ray is a Milky Way.
I reckon, Colwell as well, like a Malteser. Like really top tier, but just doesn't turn up enough.
Spot on. Yeah, Aaron Ramsey's a Galaxy Truffle. Could be world class.
Doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore. Any advances? Like, what's a Galaxy Caramel? Chris Willock? Like
I don't
Silky,
like
but
the
again,
Galaxy.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
you're excited to have it, then you're a little bit disappointed at the end, aren't you?
spot on.
I think, yeah, spot on.
A
To be
normal
honest,
Galaxy.
celebrations are the weakest of the bunch. Well, no, actually, roses.
Yeah, roses are rank.
Yeah.
Roses are rank. Dora, if you're listening, very sorry to say that. We had the conversation yesterday about what Christmas chocolate we're getting, and Dora's like, we're getting a box of roses. I was like, I want celebrations.
That's divorce right there, mate. Not being funny. You've had a good
Dora,
run.
don't listen to him, Dora. Don't listen to him.
Roses and after eights. After eights can do, and I don't know why they keep turning up at Christmas.
Every time I have an after eight, I go, ooh. And then I go, no,
Tastes like
that's not
toothpaste.
very nice.
Yeah.
tastes like toothpaste. Like eating creme de menthe, which is rank. I think this is a teamwork one. CCFC Morgan 1927. If you could pick 8 ex-Cardiff players to replace Santa's reindeers, who would you pick and why? I think you need some speed in there. So Josh Murphy, he was quite quick.
I
Wouldn't
want
turn
Chris
up,
Burke
really.
in there. I don't know why.
Chris Burke, yeah.
I'll tell
Chris
you why,
Burke
Chris
in there.
Burke, because you need a Rudolph, and he gets a very red face when he runs. Chris Burke. I always stood out for me running is he always went red in the face during
so
the
Chris
game.
Burke.
Actually, really cold. So he's Rudolph.
Ross McCormack, he was quite quick.
Yeah.
You're not having
but-
a steering, though, are you?
No. All right, Chris Burke, definitely. Jake Bothroyd was quick. Jake Bothroyd can get in there.
Fun.
Kev
Definitely.
McNaughton, very quick.
Are we just gonna name that one team now, aren't we?
Yeah.
No, we should think about
No,
others.
yeah, let's go different eras.
Josh Lowe was very quick, but not very good when he got to the byline. So we'll put him towards the back of the reindeer clan.
Andrew Taylor, reliable, not the quickest, but pretty solid.
Steady.
Steady
leader.
Eddie. Early 2000s, like early Dave Jones teams. Jason Kumas, spectacular.
Paul Parry.
Paul Parry.
I reckon you get Eddie Johnson in there, someone who's quite excitable. You know,
Yeah.
Gets everyone's mood up. Not necessarily doing a good job, but everyone's
problem
rallying
is
around him.
What is the one thing that reindeers do, help Santa do, is deliver. Is Eddie the bloke who want that? I mean,
Yeah.
he delivered once and we made T-shirts.
He delivered 3 times, actually. He scored the last goal underneath the lights at Ninian Park. He also scored the last own goal underneath the lights at Ninian Park in the same game. And then he left. And also, that own goal, I know we lost to Preston last day of the season by 6, but that own goal was the difference between the playoffs that year because it was 1 goal in the goal difference column.
Yeah.
So Eddie can get in. I think we did about 6 or 7 there. That'll do. MJCCFC, if you had to add one bit of clothing permanently to your daily outfits, would you rather it be Kanga's parachute shorts or one of Omar Reese's selection from the Cardiff City Superstore? Tom?
No, I'm a shorts man these days.
Yeah, everyone should be. Less than a 5-inch inseam on those shorts, please.
I'd have to go for one of Reese's
Teasers.
terrible club. But yeah, I don't know what I don't know. Maybe one of his terrible club shop T-shirts that says Cardiff City in different angles.
Ben?
I'm going parachute shorts. I like a pair of
I
baggy
thought
shorts.
you would.
In and around the
thought
house,
you
there's nothing better. Like, just big fan.
I will go with someone from the club shop as well. And then Boosh Talasin, Nadolig Llawen Pawb, time to think of Christmas past. What was the best present Sean Conn brought you? Big Boxing Day match in Gogledd, Cymru, Bangor versus Colwyn Bay. Merry Christmas, Boosh. What's the best present you've ever had at Christmas, Ben?
There's 2 that stand out. The N64 was a classic. But I think my yellow Game Boy Color that had Pokemon Yellow with it, that I've still got downstairs in my house now, however many years later, is still probably my favorite Christmas present ever.
Fantastic. Tom?
So I was going to say a yellow Game Boy Color with Pokemon Yellow, which is right outside my door as well. But I reckon I had a North Face backpack of my mum, and genuinely I use it every day. So I reckon on a practical level, it's boring. It's reliable. It should be one of the reindeers, really. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably the best present I've had.
I'm going to go with my PS2. That PS2 just gave me so much
nice.
joy. I would still play it now if I had it. I've still got like the Pro Evo games somewhere, but not got the PS2 to play them on. I just got so much, like, me and my mates we'd go around each other's houses for sleepover and just play Pro Evo, Grand Theft Auto, Madden, all the classics. And it was just like, it felt like a proper, at that time, a revolutionary console. And it kind of probably started my love and affair with Sony PlayStations. So yeah, my PS2. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas to everyone who got involved with our Twitter, twitter.com/VFT Ninian. Right, talking about Christmas, Ben Price. What does Omar Reza need to ask for? Is it a miracle?
Yeah, I think it has to be. A subscription to Indeed Premium, is that one of those things? Because I think it's inevitable. What's
yeah, LinkedIn Premium, probably. I bet he already has LinkedIn Premium. Let me have a look.
Oh, let's not do this again.
Yeah.
She's back.
Omar Reza. No, carry on. Anything else, Ben, that you need?
Fucking miracle. I think just that is the big one in it, because seems like a nice bloke, but he ain't going to be here end of Jan.
Tom, any advances on a miracle for Omar Reza?
It does feel like we need other teams going to administration or something, doesn't it, at the moment? But
we need a Reading.
No, yeah, I think it's a goal scorer, isn't it? I think that's the one thing. If we don't strengthen anywhere else, it may get us out of the shit. And like you see what Moore did on the weekend for Sheffield United. If we could have someone who could bag a couple of goals like that every month or so, then we might be all right.
Yeah, I agree. I just, he needs a striker. He needs someone who's going to get. He needs Sorry Cava to come back, right, and get us 10 goals between now and the end of the season. All overhead kicks, please. Sorry.
I think that's where, like, with Ashford and Davis coming back in, I think that's the one kind of glimmer of hope that we've got, that they could kick on. It's not expected, but like it's something that could happen. So I think that's what I'm kind of pinning our hopes to at the moment. It's a bit unfair on them.
I'd love Keane to come in and start bagging, because there's still something about him I really like. I think there's a good footballer there. It's just not consistent, but
I think he's going out on loan, isn't he? The talk is he's going to go to Preston. Not Preston, Huddersfield, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a rumour a little while ago, talking about Preston. Josh Bowler, everyone's favourite Cardiff City winger from last season, his loan spell at Preston is set to be cut short. The winger has been a fringe figure at Deepdale, and he'll head out on loan elsewhere, according to Darren Whitcoop. The Josh Bowler loan-a-thon continues. Where will he end up next?
He's never actually played for Nottingham Forest.
I think he played maybe once in pre-season, but yeah, he's never played a league game. It's mad.